Welcome, everybody. It's Ted Prodromo and Tuesdays with Ted with a special Wednesday edition. And this is like my 55th show. I can't believe I've done 55 of these things. Just start having fun. And today we've got Gary Barnes. You've been a guest in the past.
I have. It's great to be here with you.
And I'm missing your January event we usually have in Denver, but I'll be there in September. But
Yeah.
Gary and I met close to, gosh, might be a decade now. We met at some events in Los Angeles. We were just kind of talking about that. We had some great memories, some many nights in the Westin by the airport.
Yeah, and many memories and adventures, and we won't go into all of them here, but it brings a chuckle to us.
Yeah. We've been great friends ever since, and we still keep in touch. And it's that time of year to talk about your get statements again.
It is. And, I think there's never a time that is not a good time. Is that a correct statement? I make up phraseology. Um, but, it's really about focus and what we want to accomplish. And this time of year, people have a tendency to be thinking about what they want to create for the new year. And also, they look past and uh, I've had a couple of my coaching clients in the last day or so want to look back at what didn't happen and was moving that forward as a focus for this year. And I go, well, you and I love football. And, just because we have a bad season doesn't mean that the next season is going to be bad. And so, why would we project that into the future? So, yes, I agree. This is a great time to set our focus and create get statements, which is allows us to reboot our brain to really see those opportunities.
Yeah. Things are happening so much faster now. Thinking about writing out goals for a whole year, it's like we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
It's a I want the word that hit my mind just then was volatile. But if we really think back, for most every year, it's volatile years. The things that happen, whether it be weather or family issues or business or finance, whatever it might be. But every year is, challenging. So that makes each year normal. It's just challenging in different ways.
Right. And get statements kind of help you keep on track. They're not goals, they're not affirmations. It's something totally different, right?
It really is. It's stating a future result in the present tense. And so you're not lying to yourself like many of the affirmations, the traditional ones that, come about where they say, I weigh X number of pounds and you get on the scale and it goes, no, you don't. So there's an internal conflict about whether or not what you're saying and what the reality is. And so you have that internal struggle. And so, but what we're doing is really going out into the future, creating a new reality, making it so vividly uh, real for us that we can see it, taste it, and feel it. And I put a stake in the ground, a rubber band around it, and coming back to the present day. And now that vision that you've created for yourself is actually pulling you towards the reality that you want to create. It is not a magic pill. It is not, the perfect scenario that anything you put down is going to happen. But I will say anything you don't put down won't happen.
There you go. And it's not like The Secret where you just kind of visualize it and it just appears one day.
It's not just about just thinking good thoughts because there's a second step outside of a get statement and it's action steps. The things that we do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis that allows those get statements to become a reality. But the what it's a new terminology that I just coined, and I actually did it on another program where it was from a question of one of the attendees, and they asked, "What is the why WHY factor?" And I thought, "Wow, that's good." So the why factor, what is it that makes the trip worth taking? So I mean, many years ago, I was speaking on a cruise where there was a lot of financial planners, and that's who was my audience And I asked them, what do they want to create in the next 12 months? And one of them said, $1 million in the bank. And I said, okay, why? He said, well, it would give me security. And I asked one more question. I said, will it? And it got stuck in his throat. It was just one of those things that he hadn't really gone to the why. And a couple of weeks later, he called me and he goes, damn you, I'm hiring you. And so what we were able to do though is go to what does the $1 million truly produce?
Right.
Because if we're afraid, or if we have on the money side, or health or relationships, whatever it may be, if we're afraid of losing it and that's where our focus is, guess what? We're probably going to end up with that result, not the result that we really want. Or if we worry about money and then we get money, all we're going to do is worry about more money.
Right.
It's not about getting it, then it's about losing it. So get statements allows you to put things into perspective, but also, to be able to, really put the things that are most important to you, both in your business and in your life, on the same platform, on the same plane, so that you're able to have a balanced life, not just something where you make a lot of money, but your health goes, the opposite direction, or no relationships, but your health, you have to have a balance to really make this trip worthwhile.
Hmm. So there are goals in a sense, but they're different.
They are different. Most people don't have goals. Most people that over the years I work with, my clients are all over the US and international. And it's really amazing when I ask people, what are your goals for the year? Well, okay, to be happy. Okay, how do you measure that?
Right.
To make more money. Okay, how do you know where the goal line is? I mean, we have this tendency not to want to put ourselves out there in a definitive way because we don't want to be held wrong at some point. We don't want to fail. We don't want to, have this negative side of, okay, I'm going to do this and then it doesn't happen. Now I don't feel good about it. So if I don't put myself out there, whatever comes, it's almost like happy accidents. And that's really a tough way to, walk through this, life that we all have.
Right. If you don't know where you're going, how do you know when you get there? Right.
Yeah, you're already there. Doesn't matter.
No, and I was thinking about get statements I've done in the past, and if you do them consistently, it's in your mind, top of mind too.
Well, what we're really doing with get statements is you're reprogramming or programming, maybe in this case for some people, the reticular cells in the back of all of our brains. And those cells are there just to filter out all of the bits of information that comes into our subconscious, over 1 billion bits of information per second, down to less than 2,000 bits of information. And so it allows us not to go insane, basically, is what it allows it to do. But what it's filtering is what's important to you. So if you're programming in a get statement the things that you want to pay attention to, the results that you're looking for, you'll see opportunities that were already there, not that you have to create them. That's the interesting part. And the other side of this is you don't have to believe that they will work for them to work. It's just programming it. It's like if you don't believe you're going to get muscles by lifting weights, but you lift weights anyway, you're going to get muscles. I mean, it's the same analogy. And so the belief side of it, I have people. I created these over almost 25 years ago, and boy, that makes me older. But gee, um, but people have wanted to prove me wrong, and I go, great, prove me wrong. Just do it to prove me wrong, and then they come back and it worked. Well, don't be so sad about it being, for it to work.
Right.
But this is where you want to be really crystal clear, specific of what it is that you are wanting, why you want it, and what the benefit of that end result is going to be, because it's a never ending story. It's not an end where I really have teach. I taught it. I teach around a concept of transitioning from a so what to a so that. So that financial planner having $1 million in the bank was a so what. He didn't take it to a so that. What did it provide? What did it allow him to do? What was it that he really wanted from that?
Mhm.
And security could be a little bit of it, but it was more of what kind of freedom did it give him? What was he able to do for his family? What was he able to do for long term investments? Whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But when we go to the so that, it turns into many times another so what. So you can go to so that. So there's always a so that. So I do this so that I didn't do this, so that I
Mhm.
can do this. And so it works in all areas of our life. Back in '88, when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, it was, I did the things that I did around visualization and, my mindset so I could play with my grandchildren,
Yeah.
who my boys at the time were 7 and 9. I mean, I was just guessing there would be grandchildren at some point in the future. But I had this vision that I was willing to go through the possibility that it wouldn't work for the possibility that it would, and that I'd be able to do what I actually do today because I'm not supposed to be here, according to the doctors.
Yeah. So it's similar to somebody, so I can exercise. I want $1 million so I can pay off my debt, so I
Pay
can
off my
send
debt.
my kids to college or whatever.
Yeah, and it's really not about the number. It's about what the number provides. So for some people, $1 million is really never going to be a goal. Uh, but it's very difficult in our society today if you don't have assets, if you don't have revenue to be healthy. You're not able to take time off. You're not able to buy supplements. You're not able to buy the higher grade foods. And so there is a correlation in all of these areas.
Mhm. So what's a sample get statement?
The sample that I use is around money, and it sounds like this. I receive $100,000 with $80,000 net revenue by December 15th. This year would be 2022. And so as I break that down, it's I receive. I didn't say I work harder. I receive. It can come from any source. I could find it. I could have a lost uncle that I didn't know about. No, it's just a perception of receiving. Because at this moment, a lot of people are going, well, I'm going to make more. And I tell people, don't publicize that because that's called counterfeiting and you go to jail. But we can't outwork this. If work and energy putting into making more money was the solution, then steel workers, farmers, people that really, really work hard would be gazillionaires, and they're not.
Right.
And so it's the receiving part is a mindset shift that is sometimes because we feel like we're out of control. But if we just open ourselves up to the possibilities, and then the two numbers, 100,000, and don't worry about the actual numbers here. I'm just using those as examples.
Mhm.
But 100,000 with $80,000 net revenue. Now, most people, when you ask them what their revenue goal, their income goal, whatever they call it, would be for the year, they give you one number. Which number do you think they give you, Ted?
The gross.
Yeah, they wanted the big number. And even if they get it, they're going to be disappointed because they can't spend that. If there's a taxes, even if they're a W-2 employee, they're not able to spend the gross on their family needs and desires. So always have the two numbers. And then the word buy. It's most people would say on. No, when you say buy, it can happen early, and oftentimes it does. And then by December 15th, when it comes to money goals, particularly, I used to work all the way through the holidays, and my family wasn't happy. I wasn't happy, and all of a sudden, I realized I could choose the date that my year ended as
Right.
far as my production, and so I always do it now on December 15th. Now, that doesn't mean, I mean, the last couple of weeks of the year, normally I have opportunities, I get to play, but my revenue goal, my push for the results for the year in the business ends on December 15th.
Mhm.
And so by doing this and writing it out, this is the key. As you write these out, it's really important because there's three ways that we learn or that we imprint, we take in information: kinesthetic, auditory, and visual. And so when you are writing And I don't do this on a, I was going to say typewriter. Boy, I am aging myself. On a computer or on your phone, do it handwriting. And you can print it, it's not a big deal. But do it where you have physical pen to paper. And also use a pen. There is a psychological implication. Pen is permanent, pencil is not. And so you do it exactly the same way, verbatim every day, but write it out. It's kinesthetic. And then as it appears on the paper, you see it. So it's visual. And when you see it, we all talk to ourselves, whether we want to admit it or not.
Yeah.
And so we have the auditory. It doesn't have to be out loud, it can be silent, but we're still talking to ourselves.
Hmm.
So we're really imprinting these areas or whatever that is into our subconscious very, very rapidly. And do it, it takes less. I do 9 in the morning, not 9 o'clock, but 9 guest statements, and it takes me less than 10 minutes a day. Now, the other thing, as you write these out, I really suggest that you find some music or sounds of nature, something that will fill in the white noise so that if you're like me, my mind will wander through what's going on in the day, or I just need some kind of fill that will help us
Yeah.
concentrate on what we are writing.
Hmm. Classical music or nature
Whatever
sounds.
it just whatever you choose is the most beneficial is something without words. Because if there's words, you're going to be hearing the words, and it can be distracting too. But it could
Yeah.
be a song that has words, but it's instrumental. That is what you're listening to.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to do it in the morning when nobody's up. It's just me. It's quiet. Just me and the dog.
I do it with my cup of coffee and my guest statements and the music that I listen to, and it's a way to set my day and set the intention for my day for what I'm wanting to become aware of as far as opportunities. And something I'd like to also, Ted, there's 5 questions in order to come up with your get statements. Is the what do I want to do? What do I want to have? What do I want to give? What do I want to be? And where do I want to go? Those questions will give you those raw ideas of what you want to create as a get statement. And when you put that date of accomplishment for each of those things that you're wanting to do, is put it out 12 to 18 months. Don't go out farther than that. Because if you go out further than that, there is no urgency.
Right.
So,
So do
and
you
you can do
do
it
shorter
smarter.
term goals
Yeah,
too, or shorter term
yeah,
get statements?
absolutely. You got to be a little bit careful because sometimes we get too excited. And let's say we're going to want to lose 30 pounds in the next 2 weeks.
Right.
Okay, is it possible? It may cost you an arm or a leg, literally, but yeah, you could do it. So we want to be, in perspective of what can I do? What's the time frame? But sure, and the question comes up a lot for me. Well, what if it doesn't happen by the date that I set? I go, well, did you set the date? Yes. Well, can you reset the date? Yes. Okay, give yourself permission to reset the date. This is not a test. This is a guideline. And so it is amazing how many things do happen early. Uh, but it's if it for some reason doesn't happen, just reset the date.
Some happen 2 or 3 years down the road when it's who knows?
Absolutely. Well, and the thing that many times, if you're doing something around education, it's a 4 year degree, a 7 year degree, like our kids did, whatever. Or if you're going for a graduate degree, you can see yourself going across the stage, getting your diploma. And so when you're doing that, that's fine. But for most things, you want to have that urgency somewhere between, the next few weeks to, 18 months. It's just keeping uh, that concept in front of us of there is an urgency. In fact, there is a law called Parkinson's law, and it states that a task will expand or contract given the time to the accomplishment of the task. And so if we well, let's do the weight again. I'm going to lose 30 pounds in 3 years. Okay, when are you going to start? Well, 2 years, 8 months, and 14 days.
Right.
It's just like, we have that procrastination.
Or I've read something. Zig Ziglar wanted to lose weight, and he calculated to how many ounces a day he'd have to lose.
Well, Zig Ziglar, actually, yeah, it was Ziglar, see at the top. He did that. He was X number of pounds overweight, and he figured out how long it was going to take him to write the book. And he said, I had to lose an eighth of a pound a day in
Yeah.
order to reach my goal. And he did. So that's where, I learned this first from Tony Robbins, where he talked about chunking. Is
Hmm.
you have to break your goals down, your vision down into smaller bite-sized pieces. Because what I reckon, or what I remind my clients is that we're in a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
And so every day is built on the last day. Every minute is, every day is built on the minutes and hours. And so, what is it that we're doing to invest our energy, time, and money into whatever it is that we want to accomplish?
Yeah. If you want get statements or goals to accomplish it, you have to take action every day.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's building new habits. And people don't like change. People, when we look at calendars and time management, people think that they lose the ability to have spontaneity in their life. And it really isn't that. It gives you a clear picture of what you're choosing to or not to do, what to include or not to include, what to engage in, and because everything we do in life, instead of spending time, spending money, let's invest. What is the return on the investment that we'd like to have for having, gone through the effort? And then why? What is it that we want at the end of the road as a result?
So how many get statements is a good number? 5, 10?
I to begin with, those 5 questions that I gave, to have at least one get statement in each of those questions, each of those areas. And then, usually at 5 to 8 to start with. It's amazing how many times people forget the things they really care about. Where they forget to put themselves into the equation. Oh, well, you got everybody else a present. What do you want?
Right.
And so, but 5 to 8 is reasonable in the beginning, but at least 5. So one in each of those categories that those questions, connect to.
And like you said, it's just a couple minutes a day, 5 to 10 minutes a day.
It really is. And in fact, I'll pull up my Get Statement book. People say, well, where do I write it? And this is a little book that I got at Staples. And so every page is a day. And when it's filled up, I just write it out. And when it's filled up, I recycle it. But these are what, like $2 at
Yeah.
Staples or at, Office Depot, something like that. And but it's that's my book. It goes with me when I travel. It goes with me. It's easy.
Yeah.
You
Don't
want
make
it to
it
be
hard.
simple.
It's easy.
And that's my real fear when I teach get statements, is that because it is so simple and easy, people don't see that it's going to be valuable.
Yeah.
Because we have been trained, there's a radio host here that her dad was a lawyer. And she came to him one day and said, why are all of the legal documents so full of these weird terms and it's confusing and whatever? And he goes, well, if it wasn't, nobody'd want to come to us and pay us money to find out what it said. And so we have been taught, the medical community, that, I come out of I'm a recovering financial planner. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And so when you see something that's simple, we start thinking, well, it can't be that valuable, but it is.
So our friend Susie Nelson's chatting here. She says, I feel humble. Gary walked into my office so long ago. Get
Right?
statements work.
It does. And Susie is a great testament to this because of the things that she's been able to accomplish. And actually, she was very accomplished when I met her. And, the things that have uh, come about, though, because of the what if factor. There's a what if too. As we're asking ourselves those questions, It's just like, oh, what if I could do that? What if, oh, really? It's giving ourselves permission to think outside the box.
Yeah.
And when we do that, you know, things that you only saw on TV or in the movies, or you saw other people doing it, all of a sudden can become your reality. And it's just about, again, it's more of a permission to engage,
Yeah.
to receive.
So you have a book. Here's the link to it here.
Yep, the
Is it on
power of
Amazon
destiny.
too?
It is on Amazon, but if they go to this, then I will autograph and personalize it and mail it to them.
Okay.
And so that goes right off my website. And it's uh, an outline of a lot of things. Well, it's exactly what we talked about, but it goes into more detail. And there is also a bonus section on manifesting by Tanya Waring uh, that we put in the back of the book as well. Which that's again the art of manifesting is thought of as being like a woo woo or whatever. It's actually fairly scientific.
Mm-hmm.
And if you start understanding the principles and how the brain works, because the brain is more of the logic. It doesn't, the brain is not logic or emotional, but we connect the emotion to the logic. That's when we're extremely powerful.
Great. So do a screenshot from your URL. And you also have another gift.
I do. I started doing this a few months back, and I really have enjoyed it. For many, many years, I have had a private membership group where people invest to be in the group. And, I call this my pink spoon. People go to 31 flavors and they get their little pink spoon and they get to try things out. So, and I did use the word try.
No double
Uh,
dipping though.
yeah, no double dipping. They'll give you another pink spoon. Um, but what this is a invitation to a free 30-day membership to my group coaching mastermind, where we meet twice a month for an hour. We have people from all over the U.S. and internationally that come on, and it's a Q&A. And when people bring their questions or concerns, I am the host and the facilitator, but there's times, as Ted knows, I am not technologically uh, gifted. If it doesn't work, it's broke, and I look for Ted or somebody else to help me fix it. So there's other people in the group that chime in as well, and they have resources. So it really does become more of a Q&A mastermind than just a Ask Gary type of situation. But the free gift from Gary is totally free for 30 days. You get two coaching calls, and if you can't be live on the call, you also receive the MP3 and the MP4 the next day. So you can watch it, listen to it at your convenience. But we just like to offer that to anybody that would like to come on and just see what the community is all about.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been to many of those calls. It's great little community you've built.
Well, not so little anymore, dude.
Yeah. True.
I still listen.
No, it's good. Oh, thank you, Gary. This has been great. So work on your get statements, get Gary's book. Definitely take advantage of this offer because it is a really good group.
Well, and if anyone has any questions about this, they can always reach out to me at Gary at Gary Burns, BARNES, international spelled out.com.
Great. Well,
I
thank
answer
you,
my
Gary.
own emails.
There you go. And Happy New Year to you, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Very good. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. Happy New Year to you and your family.